The movie opens with a brief introduction to Vice, which is one of the largest organizations. It builds robots that can act exactly like humans. They can hold memories and build futures. However, they can only follow the commands of Vice and retain the only memories approved by the Vice. They can process emotions and can hold memories of the past. Also, they can be repaired and reset. Hence, the twisting plot leads us to a detective who is waiting for approval from an operator. After a few minutes of the approval, he sneaks into the building, looking for the target. He actually works for Vice, but doesn't like it very much. At the same time, a beautiful bartender named Kelly wakes up from a nightmare and sketches a church from the dream. She has been having these nightmares in the past. Her sizzling friend consoles her, and they leave for their work shift. As it's Kelly's last day at this job as a bartender, they are excited. The detective tries to hit on Kelly while moving into the building with the intention of getting the suspect easily. But Kelly shut him off and started serving people at the bar. At the same time, he is approaching the suspect with a badge and picture from room to room. At last, he finds him in a room violating the rules by hitting a woman badly. He doesn't stop even after the detective shows his badge and continues messing up. But beating him down is an easy task, so the detective confiscates him and rescues the girl. This is the place where civilians can live according to their own wishes. They are free to do anything to anyone. The lady who is getting beaten brutally is actually an artificial created by Vice. They are to serve the civilians. Therefore, Vice is likable to civilians, and they consider it a place of pure entertainment. Kelly meets a boy in the bar and really likes him. She even invites him to drink with them, but he refuses. She leaves the bar on the last day of her job with staggering feet and totally wasted. The detective suddenly bumped into them and again tried to hit them. Melissa curses him with bad words and in return gets shot multiple times. The detective also chokes Kelly's throat and kills her on the spot while no one dares to help the ladies. However, soon it is revealed that they are both robots, and the vice president flies them back for repair. They stitch their wounds and repair their skin with technical instruments. However, they are not like traditional robots. They are made of human skin and texture. The only difference is that they are mortal, and they can do whatever they want. They don't have any boundaries and can live limitless. It is a place owned by Vice and has multiple artificials. They are made of genetically modified skin tissues and process human-like emotions. They also have a bracelet with tracking numbers. They can also relive days over and over again without even remembering the last one. Therefore, the genetic engineers reset Kelly's and her friend's memory and take her one day back. They don't remember their death last night, and Kelly relives the next day as her last day of job as a bartender. With the same weird dream, she goes to the bar in excitement, but extreme flashbacks hit her mind. She has severe memories from the last night and feels breathless. Vice advises to shut her system immediately, but it seems to be impossible. They take her back to reboot the system, but the process is meant to be extremely traumatizing for her. She has to relive all her memories, from sexual assaults to death memories from last night. She feels agonizing pain and leaves the chair by breaking up the straps. The security system tries hard to stop her, but she is out of control now. She escapes out of the building by jumping off the grills and rushing through the shower of shots. Vice doesn't want any artificial robot with elevated cortisol levels to roam in the street and kill people. Therefore, they try to find her in every corner, and the detective also visits to observe the situation. But Vice doesn't let him do that. Therefore, they set a curfew in the whole area to keep lives safe. However, the actual reason remains hidden. The vice president is interviewed and he claims the institute is the heaven of earth. He believes that there is no harm in getting entertainment and beating the possibility of eternal life. He treats humans more than just flesh and skin and make them immortal with exceptional abilities and everlasting programmed memory. However, it can be a harm to humanity, but he ignores the consequences while interviewing. In the meantime, Kelly walks into a bar and has a drink to detox herself from the negativity. But a random boy starts interfering with her. She tried to escape the place, but he followed. The agent has been appointed by Vice to look for her. The random stranger leads her to an empty garage where the agent also reaches in. He tries to take Kelly with her by mimicking the enchanting slogans of Vice, but she escapes. Also, the random stranger who actually tries to help her has been shot dead by Agent's men. Kelly finds the chance to escape through the multiple gunshots by following the zigzag walks. She enters the abandoned building and hides behind a pillar. Agent gives her the last chance to show up and surrender to the owner of her cage, which is Vice. However, she doesn't give up and keeps on hiding till the end. They throw a burst of gunshots at her and lighten up the abandoned place with the fire shots. She finally comes out, but finds an escape route through an escalator. She risks her life by jumping off the building on the roof of a car and saves her back from fracturing. Agent gives up on her, and they abort the mission. However, it is not the end of the cat-and-mouse race, but the detective hits the crime spot. He realizes that Agent uses special military weapons and chases a girl with blonde hair in her early 20s. They have to set another trap for her. The detective is asked to find the girl and present her device for rebooting her system before she could reveal the reality of Vice to the public. On the contrary, Kelly walks into a similar place which recognizes a church from her dreams. She also finds a man named Evan there who seems recognizable. He has prior knowledge about her robotic body and the tracking bracelet, so he cut it off to stop her from tracking. He also takes her to a storeroom where she finds her photos of her adulthood. A lady who looks exactly like her is seen all over the newspaper and TV reports. She is astounded to see her identical lady who died several years ago. Evan reveals that he is the creator of these artificials. He designs her exactly like his late wife. In the meantime, the detective finds that the footage from outside of the building has been removed by a hacker. The intruder knows exactly where to cut the footage, so they can't track Kelly. However, no one agrees with this because hacking this highly specialized security system is impossible. Also, they can't track Kelly because she has broken the bracelet. Kelly is interested in knowing the reality of her design, so he explains that he wants to spend a few more years with the love of his life and design Kelly for the purpose of a side project. But when the local public panicked to see the astounding facts of AI, they banned the artificials. But Vice sugar-coated the benefits of AI and introduced artificials into the market. He strictly forbids them to use AI for their own purposes, but they don't listen. The artificials end up caged in Vice, and they filled with real emotions but on the basis of another human. He used his wife's fragments to put emotions in Kelly. Evan wants to take her to a safer place, which is a tech-free zone, but they need a friend hacker to go there. However, the detective reaches there before Vice could find out about the place. Hence, they get the sketch of church Kelly drew after the nightmare and get to know about the place. Evan welcomes the detective but hides his identity. The detective points the gun at him and shoots his shoulder before he can aim at him. A fight starts between them, but Kelly stabs his head to escape. Several other cops pop out of the places and start gun shooting. Kelly knows all the ways to dodge the bullets, and she also helps his injured creator escape through the rain. They rush out of the church and find a car. However, the civilians are getting hurt in this fight, and now it has become a public issue. Therefore, Vice has to choose wisely about their next moves. The detective enters the secret room of Evan and takes the picture of Kelly from his newspapers. He also let Vice track his systems and AI projects. In the meantime, Evan takes Kelly to his computer genius friend in his lab. He is surprised to see an artificial from this close, because she looks very similar to humans. He takes her to the system and gives her a new identity. She no longer exists in any system as Kelly, and her new name is Megan. He also deletes the records of his friend Evan. He also books a voyage for them to escape this place with new names and passports. They get into the antique car and are ready to sneak out of this place. The detective gets to know about their plan and has to reach the coast in 20 minutes. Because they are about to leave the place immediately, he informs an agent of Vice about going there alone, while other cops are still looking for them on other escape routes. He wants to chase them alone, so the agent also keeps it a secret. The detective reaches in the ship and get ready for his final move, while they both are discussing their beautiful journeys as a human and robot. Evan is in love with this robot, so he can do anything to save her. She also wants him to come with her, but he is bound to let her leave alone. He has to be here. In the meantime, the detective aims the gun at them, but Evan tries every inch to save her. He requests that to give her a chance to evolve and learn new experiences, because otherwise she is only the sex worker for Vice, or a toy they can play with. Only he cares about her emotions and feelings. The detective deals with him to save her from the Vice's projects. In between the discussion, the Vice cops reaches here and start shooting from all sides. They try to escape the shower of death shots but can't run for longer. Evan is poorly injured and advises his girl to escape, but she doesn't want to run without him. Finally, the detective reaches here and gives Kelly two choices. He asks her to either run and live a new robotic life somewhere else, or help him turn down Vice once and for all. He wants to stop this nonsense of heavenly life, which is actually a trap of robots being used for their own purposes. Kelly agrees to take revenge on Vice and shakes hands with the detective. Kelly takes him to the computer genius friend and asks for help. He gives them a USB port to plug it into Vice's system. This will make every artificial to revive their past memories, and consequently, it will bring chaos to the Institute. Kelly changes her look to sneak into the building, and they change their names, too, to carry out the most important mission of the century. They have to show the worst face of Vice to people and free all artificials from being played as toys. They enter in with new identities and Kelly needs 10 minutes to plug in the USB. She kills 2 security men and steals their badge. She successfully sneaks in the top office, but Vice's president is already waiting for her. They get to know about their evil plan beforehand. He challenges her to shoot at him, but the guns are designed to betray the opponents of Vice. They confiscate her into their memory removal chair and strap with electrical wires. They are about to clean her slate from all memories of the past, and she will end up following Vice once again. She tries to rebel, but they have strong security systems. However, the detective breaks into the building with the fire guns and challenges one of the engineers to run the USB into the system. He threatened him to do that. While Vice is trying to erase her memories, the detective backs up the memories of all artificials working in the place. The artificials start jerking off on all the traumas which were suppressed by the Vice. These memories turn them violent, and they start killing their harassers. They are getting haywires and stabbing whoever comes their way. The Vice President is still confident about stopping the chaos, but it is getting out of control. The detective dodges all gunmen into the way and kills most of them. People start rushing in anger and confusion, but the detective finds his destination after all. He manages to free Kelly from the chair and fight with the president. He throws a gunshot into his chest and tries to confiscate Kelly again, but the detective finds the chance to shoot him back. He is killed with multiple bullets in his chest. They get out of the burning building after destroying one of the major institutes of the city. Kelly reunites with her friend, and they find all the artificial beings roaming freely on the road. They are finally free, and the future of Vice is in ruins. However, the movie ends with a twist when the president seems still alive. He opens his eyes and predicts the further movement of Vice in the future. However, the artificial can finally breathe into the free air for the first time. The movie opens up as we're introduced to an overweight teenager named Sarah who lives in a small town in Spain. Because of her size, she's constantly mocked and bullied by her friends and neighbors in the area. One morning, Sarah is working at her parents' butcher shop when she notices her classmates gathered outside in the town square. 3 local girls, Maca, Claudia, and Rosie, along with their friend Pedro, are considering whether to attend the Madrigal festivities later. Sarah then notices Maca looking at her, pretending to vomit, which makes her feel bad. Moments later, Claudia enters Sarah's shop with Maca to pick up some meat as ordered by her mother. Sarah and Claudia were once close friends, but they grew apart after the latter began hanging out with popular girls. After they leave, Sarah opens her Instagram and finds out that Maca has posted her picture with her parents with the caption, "3 little piggies." This makes her feel terrible, but she doesn't dare to confront them. The scene then shifts to the local pool, where we see a lifeguard harassing a waitress. Meanwhile, a stranger witnesses this and stares intently at the lifeguard, who questions why he's staring and even calls him a clown. Later that afternoon, Sarah goes to the local swimming pool by herself. She's relieved that the lifeguard and waitress are not present, as she is extremely self-conscious. Moments later, she notices the strange man emerging from the water, whom we had seen in an earlier scene. Sarah is nervous about seeing him and becomes self-conscious about swimming. Just then, Maka, Rosie, and Claudia arrive and start bugging her, calling her Piggy. They even jokingly comment that the strange man must be Sarah's boyfriend. Hearing this, Sarah dives to avoid them, but the girls continue to torment her. They trap her in the leaf cleaning net and laugh, claiming that they're going to hunt the whale. Sarah screams for help, particularly from Claudia, whom she still considers a friend, but to no avail. She nearly drowns, but the girls insist that nothing will happen and start recording her. Sarah eventually manages to free herself and swim to the other side. She is so terrified that she overlooks the lifeguard, who is tied to a stone and dead at the bottom of the pool. She then watches helplessly as the girls steal her clothes and flee. Afterward, Sarah is distraught and forced to make the long journey home in only her bikini and bare feet. To make matters worse, another group of boys follows her in a car and mocks her, calling her Miss Bacon. They even get out of the car and begin inappropriately touching her. After she escapes from them, she moves forward without noticing Maka crawling behind her in blood. Sarah soon notices a white van pulling up in front of her, driven by the man she had previously seen at the pool. Moments later, she notices that Claudia is trapped inside the van with bloody hands and is begging for help. The man opens the door and looks at her, which scares Sarah so much that she starts peeing on the spot. However, he does not hurt her, and instead leaves her a towel to cover herself. As the van drives away, Sarah grabs the towel and runs home. On the way, a police officer named Juan notices her terrible condition and asks if she's okay, but she does not respond. A while later, Sarah manages to return home, but she doesn't tell anyone about what happened. She looks at Maka's Instagram post from this morning and decides she is not going to help her police. Later, her father sends her to the hardware store to buy some fluorescent lights. She tries to buy her favorite snack there, but the shopkeeper warns her that it's bad for her, so she decides not to buy them. But the strange man who has been following her ends up purchasing them. As Sarah leaves the store, she meets her mother, who tells her that a lifeguard has been found dead in the pool. Her mother suggests that they go check, and although Sarah is hesitant, she eventually agrees. The two then proceed to the local pool, unaware that the murderer is following them. Upon their arrival, they see people surrounding the crime scene and discover that the waitress is also missing. Although Sarah does not want to divulge what happened, her mother reveals that Sarah had been to the pool. When Juan questions her about it, Sarah lies, saying she went to the river, not the pool. When her mother urges her to tell the truth, Sarah becomes enraged and claims she never comes here because other kids call her a pig. She then accuses her mother of not doing anything to help her. When they return home, Sarah's mother informs the father that the other kids bully and torment Sarah because of her weight. She then tells her daughter that if she's called fat, she will have to do something, and she only serves her salad. Meanwhile, the murderer is at one of Sarah's neighbors' houses, where he gags a woman while she eats, then slits her throat. In the evening, Claudia's mother, Elena, arrives at Sarah's house. She mentions that she was trying to call Sarah on her cell phone, but got no response. Sarah remembers that she lost her phone in the woods, but lies, claiming it's upstairs. Elena expresses her worry because Claudia hasn't returned, and asks if Sarah knows anything. Sarah's father suggests that the kids might be at the Madrigal Festival. But her mother takes the opportunity to inform Elena that her daughter is bullying Sarah and then kicks her out. Following this, Sarah returns to her room and sees that her favorite snack has been placed near her window. She worries that someone might be stalking her, but decides to eat it anyway. She then realizes that if the cops find her phone, she might get into trouble. So Sarah takes her father's phone and retraces the path she had taken that afternoon, constantly calling her number to track down her phone. In the meantime, the parents of the three girls are worried and also searching for them in the same area. After walking some time in the woods, Sarah eventually finds her phone, but gets startled when the killer grabs her hand and takes her away to hide. The two find refuge in an abandoned building while the girl's parents follow the signal on their daughter's phones and arrive. The killer and Sarah are so close that it appears they will kiss, but when he notices the parents approaching, he decides to leave. Just then, the parents discover the dead body of the missing waitress by the poolside. Elena begins to scream in terror, and Sarah uses this distraction to rush home. Later, Sarah returns home and begins to pleasure herself by thinking about how close she came to kissing the stranger. But then she hears someone calling her from the street and looks out the window. It turns out to be Pedro, who is Claudia's boyfriend. She goes downstairs to meet him, and he questions why she lied about not being at the pool. He reveals that Claudia sent him the video from there, and Sarah can be seen in the background. Sarah explains that she was attacked by them and forced to flee in her swimsuit, but she doesn't know what happened next. She then asks him not to tell anyone about it, and Pedro agrees. Elsewhere, Sarah's mom goes out to hang clothes and notices the towel that her daughter brought. Sarah had told her it was from the market, but she notices Claudia's initials on it. Meanwhile, Sarah and Pedro share a joint and are soon noticed by Elena. She accuses Pedro of being responsible for her daughter's disappearance and demands answers. However, he shifts the blame to Sarah, claiming she was the last to see them. Witnessing the chaos, Sarah's mother intervenes to protect her daughter, and a scuffle breaks out between her and Elena. The police also arrive, and Pedro reveals in front of everyone that Sarah has admitted to having gone to the pool. After this, our girl is immediately picked up by the police for questioning. Because Sarah is a minor, her mother accompanies her to the station and sits through the questioning. Juan asks her what she knows, and Sarah cries, claiming she was almost drowned by the girls who left with her clothes. She explains that she returned home almost naked and didn't know what happened to them afterward. Juan is convinced that she knows something more, but Sarah can't stop crying. Seeing her daughter's distress, her mother gets defensive and decides to take her away from there. In the meantime, the murderer breaks into Sarah's room and steals one of her underwear. But when her father sees him, the murderer attacks him viciously and kills him. Moments later, Sarah returns home and argues with her mother, claiming she treats her like a child. Her mother then shows her Claudia's blood-stained towel and asks why she lied to her. Sarah starts screaming that she doesn't understand her and that she's just like everyone else. She wishes she could just die, and when her mother attempts to slap her, the killer steps in. He then ends up killing the mother as well. Just then, Sarah's brother is heard shouting from the bathroom because there's no toilet paper. The killer heads upstairs to kill him as well, but Sarah stops him, and they head to his car. They pass by the boys who made fun of Sarah earlier, and now continue to pick on her, calling her Miss Bacon. The killer then reverses at full speed, forcing the boys to jump to avoid being crushed. On the road, the man offers Sarah her favorite snack, and she appears to be moved by the gesture. He is distracted for a brief moment and fails to notice an escaped bull in the middle of the road, which causes an accident. Sarah faints from the crash, but the killer protectively carries her to an abandoned slaughterhouse outside the town where he had made his shelter. The next morning, when Sarah wakes up, she walks around the slaughterhouse and is horrified to come across Claudia and Rosie. The two are tied and gagged, hanging from a hook, but still alive. Although they're her bullies, Sarah tries to untie them and set them free. Claudia asks her where the police are and why she hasn't told anyone. Sarah responds that she got scared, and Claudia screams that they're going to die because of her. Moments later, Sarah manages to untie Rosie's feet and slide down the bar to which she's tied. They then hear the killer coming, so Sarah quickly manages to hide. However, she soon stumbles and discovers Maka's dismembered body, causing her to scream in horror. The killer quickly catches her, and Sarah screams that she doesn't want to die. He then assures her that he's not going to hurt her. Next, the killer gives Sarah a knife and takes her to the girls. He then urges her to kill her bullies and take revenge herself. To his surprise, Sarah turns around and tries to stab him instead, but he easily grabs and hits her. The man then grabs a shotgun and tries to shoot her. Overpowered by the huge man, Sarah struggles to keep him from using the shotgun, but manages to weaken him with a stab. The gun goes off during the fight, which injures one of Claudia's hands. When Sarah's rage takes over, she lunges at the man and squeezes his neck tight. She then viciously begins biting his neck until she tears off a piece, causing him to die. However, Sarah immediately regrets her actions and starts crying while hugging his dead body. Seeing this horrifying scene, Rosie still calls her Piggy and asks what she's about to do now. At this point, Sarah picks up the shotgun and aims at the girls. She has the opportunity to kill her bullies, but instead decides to do the honorable thing. Instead of blasting them away with a gun, she shoots at the shackles that are holding them and frees them instead. In the aftermath, Sarah leaves the slaughterhouse and walks toward the road, bloody and barefoot. After some time, she comes across Pedro, who is on his motorcycle. He offers to drive her to town, and she sits behind him. The two then ride away from there as the movie comes to an end.